They are undefeated at the time. These guys are in the spot to try to. Our undefeated will have to play tonight. There will be no split at the top. So these other matches do actually have some relevance and importance to the game. It is round 3. I've not updated the stream title either, so that's very good of me. So another other reason is I believe that the Neobrand deck is going to be a little bit more of a goldfishy game where both players are doing their thing, nobody's interacting with each other, and it's just kind of going to be the decks doing their thing. So deck has a little bit more. These decks have a little more interaction, a little more play. Probably end up here anyway. On the play from Robert, there goes land Hierarch into a Fetch Shock, Steam Vent, and then a Rhino suspension on the other side. Stoneblade deck does play Baby Fairies. I'm not entirely sure if they're in the main or in the side. I would assume they're probably in the sideboard. There's like a 2-of copy. This might give us the information we need. I might have saw 1 copy. Why it's reading it is an altar, but we are going to see the card Stoneforge Mystic come down. If you're unfamiliar with this card, banned a while ago, unbanned now, increased in popularity immediately. It was literally everywhere. Everybody thought it might be broken. Turns out not quite as broken as people thought. Got some new toys in terms of Cauldron Complete that they get to play now as well. It looks as though whatever Robert did grab, it's going to come in pretty scot-free the next turn as well. But when it enters battlefield, search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle your library. 2, you may put an equipment card from your hand onto the battlefield. Some toys it's gotten recently, where before it used to be just like your Banner Skull package with Sword Fire and Ice and Sword Feast of Famine. But it's gotten access to Lion Sash now, which is probably in the sideboard if you haven't seen Lion Sash. I don't know if they still play it, but it was definitely in consideration. But Lion Sash, sometimes they grab this one. It has a weird protection. Has some weird protection in terms of that it can get equipped to a creature, so now it then becomes your artifact. And then it'll like fall off, but the Lion Sash will stay in play, but it also gives the creature it's attached to the buff of the counters that it's made. Fury comes down, Wyatt making a smart play to wipe the board. This might just be land Shardless Agent. Oh no, it is a Gemstone Mine. He does not have the mana for Shardless. No blue at all. I like the Jeskai Stoneblade version better, 2BH. I could definitely see that. I'm not sure what made Robert decide that Bant was the way he wanted to go. I'm not sure if he's playing any Ice Fang Quaddles. I believe he is. That might be some of the reason he wanted to go this route. He does also get access to the card Endurance, which might have been a little bit of an issue in terms of playing against like Living End. Still get access to the counter spells. You kind of lose a little access to the planeswalkers that you want to play in terms of like the big Teferi package, maybe a Wandering Emperor or 2. But how about 4-color Stoneblade? Please leave us alone. I don't want more 4-color. This is going to go fetch a red land, and then he's going to play a Magus. And then we're gonna sit here and watch the 4-color player have every color of mana that they need. So that'd be cool. Obviously a joke. Robert is on just Bant alone. Here's the fetch. Spara's headquarters. The Bant land. About said Bant Triumph. You missed Neobrand earlier in round 2. I don't know if you were here for that. It's now round 3, but you've been gone for a while. For a while with Goy Saga and Embercleave. Oh, the lightsaber. Embercleave got nicknamed the lightsaber on Arena because it was a joke going around that mono red players would put it in their deck and would talk about how it's too expensive until it would randomly light up. A notorious bug that somehow it got cheaper with the more creatures I attacked with. CGB was one of the people that made that joke pretty frequently. I would say, why? You're going to tap that 3rd mana? So, Robert, generally a Rhinos player, understands what's happening, and he's going to Spell Pierce the Rhinos. Only have a red mana. Here comes the Force. It's on his turn. Okay. I was like, I'm going to say, wait a minute. Wyatt, we've talked about this. Can't force on your turn. Robert lets him know. Bro, Wyatt's trying to game right now. Tap 2, and then tries to force on his own turn. It happens. Honestly, respect him a little bit. Being newer to the game and just being willing to come on stream. Yeah, I would too. I'd have to call a judge too, whether the person's new or not. But I know, definitely in terms of normal play, it does show he is generally nervous because he talks about always wanting to be in the booth and not necessarily wanting to play in the events. But definitely having a GRV. Prismari command. So is that one of the... So weird thing is technically your negate can target a slaughter games. However, it never counters the spell because it's uncounterable. You can still technically target it, but it doesn't do anything. You just put your put your card in the graveyard. Yeah, it's embarrassing for sure. But Gray Fox, thanks for the follow, by the way. We appreciate it. Is FNM perfect time for newer players to play because it's more... Yeah, it's supposed to be more relaxed. I can definitely... there's definitely been a complaint or two in a weird way that sometimes our shop could be a little competitive at times in terms of like the decks that people play. I think one time submitted was like at your local FNM, it was 2 Murktide decks, 2 4-color decks, Temur Rhinos, Living End, and like it was just a trip. One player qualified for a Pro Tour. He won an RCQ event. Roberts won one of the 1Ks for the Invitational series we had. And like, yeah, it was literally the meta. There were no brew decks. There was nobody trying anything. They were like not even 5-0 list. People are looking at like the 8-1 list or the 8-0 list. The decks that have won challenges, their decks are tuned. Everybody's talking in Discord like, I've made these changes, I've done this. Like, yeah. So it's a little hard for somebody that might be new to the game to like get into the game at our shop at times. But they become generally better players quicker if that's their goal of the game. But I can definitely see how sometimes, like, if they like to play tabletop and they're just kind of wanting to play Magic just to play the game sometimes, not really care too much, like, I can see how it could be a little bit of a hard shop to play at. Yeah, like, a lot of local players do generally do well at what they're doing. Like, I think DJ's relatively the only one that, like, actually plays MTGO a lot. He's had some pretty good placings. He's won a couple of challenges in Pioneer. With like some mono red, was pretty much known as the Lotus Field guy for a while. Kyle and Taryn used to play a lot more. Don't quite play as much. A lot of times Taryn finds himself in the booth here, but Kyle is a little bit too busy. Those are one of them. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of that scenario. I played in another shop to do some support, like go around, do what we gotta do. And going there, I played against I definitely played against decks that I probably would never play at our shop with the current meta and the current people at show. I played there was Enchantress, there was 2 Taxes decks, and we're talking about modern. So Enchantress, 2 Taxes decks, a little less competitive, still fun decks to play, more of your tier 2s, but definitely not 4-color control, 4-color Archon, all your other meta decks. Burn wasn't even there, if you call that a top tier deck. Yeah, Burn's in the top of the meta, but some people are like, it's not the best. It just has really good matchups with what's being played. There was no Hammer time. Death Shadow didn't show up. Amulet wasn't there. But Amulet shows up here. Living End does. Footfall does. Tron does. Shadow does. Hammer time, Burn, 4-color, and Murktide. It's pretty competitive. You, Brick? I assume I meant to say, yo, Brick. You think I should play Grinding Station in my Invitational series? Oh, man. Grinding Station, quite the weird deck, for sure. I don't know what your options are to play. I think you potentially have a better shot at playing I think you would kind of have a better shot at playing maybe Song Creation. I can just see where... With Grinding Station, I can see where a couple of matchups just go really weird. But if you play it well, I can see you winning with it. It's the only deck I've been playing for a while, and it's still... Yeah. We can definitely get behind that. It's Amulet players are sometimes my favorite to watch, because you'll see them take a... Yeah, man. Song Creation is on the same thing. You just kind of you get to play more copies, right? Of Thassa. But you can play it. I've played it. I've had other people play it. You really kind of have to get your favorable matchups with that deck. It's not great. I see. But Rhinos is also kind of in a weird spot right now, in my opinion. I think you probably have equally the same amount of chance to win either one you play. Yeah, Grinding Station is going to be a lot more you're going to have to have been playing it a lot more. Your meta is 4-color and Merc. Low-key Grinding Station might be the play then. Murktide's kind of harder for you. But Four color doesn't really interact with you that much because your deck doesn't. The way your deck functions, they need artifact removal. I like living in a lot. It was a deck that I kind of committed to for a while. I kind of got off of it. Just because it, like, not that living in got boring. It just kind of got boring that there were like 4 or 5 people at the local shop playing like Cascade style decks. I think there were 5 total. But I like living in a ton. So, comment, listen, I didn't necessarily join the Murktide bandwagon. I tried to play Blue-Red through the Breach. It was just bad, man. I couldn't. So, like, all I had to do was cut the really bad cards in terms of Emrakul and Through the Breach and put in Murktides and Shredders, and the deck worked fine. Like, that's literally all I did. And then I've been playing it. But, Barry, as you said, why I'm not sure what you're referencing to, or if it's even referenced to me. It might be Big Guy. I don't know if you're talking about the Shredders. Glimpse is pretty good too. I like Glimpse a lot. It has a lot of the like go over the top factor you might need in some of these weird matchups like 4 color and like maybe even Tron. You get real wide. The big Karn isn't as relevant. Ugin gets kind of bad for you in a way, but post Shredder and Rhinos is worse. The reason Shredder is hard for Rhinos is because it awkwardly gets big enough that it can kind of freely block your Rhinos in a way that doesn't feel super comfortable. For example, every time you Cascade, you give them a Connive trigger so they get to draw deeper. They can potentially hit their counter spell with that extra draw. Also, like if they play the Shredder Bobble thing or Shredder Consider, it goes up to a 2/4, and then when you cause it to connive by casting your Rhino spell, it goes up to a 3/5, and it can just chump all day while also making the Unholy Heats in their deck really good. So it's just pretty good. Everything on Spike's hand looks sick. When you yeah. What about Griggs' creativity? I like Griggs' creativity. I like that you can do it a lot earlier than the 4 color one. I prefer the 4 color one just because of the cards that it plays. I like to play more. But sometimes the Griggs' creativity deck can just Thoughtseize themselves, put it in the grave, and then persist it out on turn 2. On their turn 1, and they're not beating it on turn 1 or turn 2. The only way that I came close when I was playing against that pile was I Brazen Barber bounced it. But, like, they got to draw 2 and make me discard 2. I lost 6 life off of just a drain alone. They gained 6, which was hard for me to deal with at the time because I was playing Temur Escape Shift. And then they drew 2 more again, like I said. It wasn't great, but you can definitely do the early thing quickly. It kind of struggles a little more in the late game, I would imagine. Robert's down bad already. Very quick went from 16 to 6. Elemental Glimpse is fun. I like it. I'm jamming that and Amulet, mostly Amulet, but if I switch it up, I play Glimpse. Man, you're really about putting in a lot of cards at once. Cultivator Colossus has got to be your favorite card, Wiki. There's no way. We play Amulet. I haven't been focusing on the game too much, but Chat and I are having a good conversation, I think. So, there's a Fury in hand for Wyatt. Shocks down to 17. This Fury is more or less a get stuff out of my way Fury. It's only an island, so it can't be spell pierced. Fire and Ice can though. Alright, did it. I don't see much hammer time either. And I think that is because of the beautiful card that we all know as Force of Vigor. That card blows that deck out so bad sometimes. It's just so hard for them to get it, or like the weird bounce effects that decks play. That Hammer Time just sometimes finds itself on the back foot so quickly for what seems like no reason. Alex Gaming. I mean Apex, I assume. New SCG 2.0, eh? I mean, kind of hope, you know. That's somewhat the goal. Kind of why, like, in the Invitational, we kind of went more for, like, getting more professional broadcasters. I know that we got a long way to go. It's not necessarily super great in what we, in the easiest way possible, not quite what we signed up for, but, like, somebody's got to do it, you know? Didn't really ever think I was going to be commentating Magic, and then here I am now. Even though today I'm only talking to the chat for most of the part. But Zach V2, thanks for the follow, by the way. We appreciate it. This contract complete comes down. Wyatt, please understand that this cannot be destroyed. Just so we're saying. But this could shoot him. Let Robert know that he's like, I'm not destroying that. I'm shooting you for 2. Very nice.